Loxai, this is my second conversation I've recorded since being back home in Arizona, and I've been talking about my road trip I was on, and one aspect that I've not discussed yet, which is we were talking about offline, that I feel like compelled to start this conversation off with. I was driving through New York State, and man, they hit you. I don't want to swear in front of you, but like my obscenities when I'm like driving through, and the tolls, like there were stretches. It was like every 3-4 miles where they're hitting you. And here's the other thing too, which I was not aware of. You drive right through it. It's automatic. There's nobody
Yes,
collecting money from you.
and they changed it, I think, more than 5, 6 years ago. I can't remember right on top of my head, but yeah, they changed it and they increased the toll. In 15 years, Tapansy Bridge increased from like $5 to $8. Now I don't even know how much it is right now.
And that's New York City. I mean, I'm talking. I went 90 up through Erie, Pennsylvania, from Cleveland, and then you go into the New York State line, and man, it didn't seem that long before they were dinging you, boom, boom, boom. And at first, I'm like, oh my god, like I don't know, like I have call a number or because I don't have an Easy Pass,
Yeah.
and I called one. They sent me an automatic text reminder, and then I called the rental car company, and they said no, we'll just pass the bill on to you because I'm like, you guys aren't going to add charges onto this, are you? And so they passed the bill on, but I'm like, who would that's what factor in me coming into that state again with these little knick-knack charges because you're just squeezing people like West Virginia has that too. I hit 4 tolls in West Virginia. It cost me a total of like $13 driving from Ohio into Virginia.
Yeah.
But the state is very poor. I mean, they have nothing, like from what I've been told. So I can
They're going to
kind of.
get poorer.
What's that?
They're going to get a lot poorer.
I'm sure. What? Okay, well, we'll get into that. But New York, though, is like, I mean, just a grift. Like
Yeah.
everything in this country, Locks, is just one big grift. This episode is brought to you by Vaulted. Launched by McElvaney Financial Group, with Vaulted, I literally just tap a button and I own physical gold stored in a professional vault. Vaulted is offering all of my listeners $50 of free gold when you click on my sign up link. They have a tool called Vault Plan that allows you to passively add your gold position every month. Just activate it for 6 months and you will get $50 of free gold in your account. Click on the promo link in the show notes or go to vaulted.blbvux.net/coffeeandamike.
It's it's I think we have to just go into the bill. It's
Well,
the
well, hold on. Before you do that, I mean, do you feel the same as? I mean, it's like, how can they
everything is
extract money from
expensive.
you?
Everything is expensive. I don't when I travel to New York City, I do not eat over there. I do not eat out.
Oh,
It's it's
that's another thing. I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep cutting you off. That's another thing on the road. God, you got me on a rant. So people were hosting me, which was fantastic. So we're cooking at their house. They're cook not me. They're cooking at their house, and that was wonderful. I mean, I ate some of the best meals. I mean, a friend of mine in North Carolina, he grows his own corn, so I had popcorn made homemade. I never had that before, which I recommend to everybody. And I'm like a pretty much a carnivore guy. I inhaled a whole bowl of that popcorn. It was so good.
yeah.
But salads from the people's gardens and whatnot. But I had to eat out a lot too. And oh my god, man! Like I'd get 2 burger patties, bacon, and like a coffee or something or eggs. I mean, it was $25, and it was a very meaty. I mean, it was like it wasn't terrible, but I would never. I could cook so much better at home.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just the other day, 4th of July, we didn't go anywhere. We just stayed home. So my husband, myself, and our 7-year-old went to a um, nearby place in town. It's not fancy. It's just like a bodega and 2 burger, fries, and and I had some falafel wrap. I don't eat meat. So all these three, guess how much it costed us?
$70.
How did you know that?
Is that what it was? Well, I know what the average was.
$70.
I know what the average was when I was on the road. So I mean, a sandwich with the chips or fries, depending where you were, that was $16 to $18. And I mean, if you're close to New York City, it's going to be more than say Central Pennsylvania where I was.
Yeah. It's expensive. It's just you cannot survive on. I mean, back in the days, I remember when you get a job and you say, "What's your salary?" And if you say like, "Oh, I make six figures," like it's 110, 120, or whatever you make, um, that would mean something. Now, I don't think you can live at 110 or 120 a year.
If you're single, you could, but if you're a family of four, no way,
Yeah,
no
that's
way.
what I meant. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, and this whole notion of like how things are getting better, and I mean the propaganda to me is the same on the right as it is on the left, and like oh things are getting cheaper and egg prices, and maybe the egg prices have come down a little bit, but it doesn't feel overall that our state of our living has dramatically improved
No,
since the new
it
president took
hasn't.
over.
I mean, it's just politics aside, whether it's left or right, at the end of the day, the way I look at it is consumers or average consumers are getting screwed. You go home, you go to work 9 to 5, come back home, try to make a meal, try to, be with your kids. A normal American family cannot survive because it's so expensive. Doesn't matter if it's left, doesn't matter if it's right. People are angry, Mike. People are really, really angry. They can't afford it.
So you're telling me that the big beautiful bill is not going to solve all of our problems?
So the big, beautiful bill is a mess, right? I don't want to get into politics, but it is a complete mess.
You can
It's
swear,
it's
Locks, if you want to.
inheriting.
If you let me, I don't mean to cut you off. If you want to use profanity, please feel free. Because there's another word that I'm thinking of. Oh, I'm going to share it. Is a clusterfuck? Is that appropriate to use for
Yeah,
this?
I represent my firm, so I can't, as much as I would love to curse, which I do. I just don't want to do it on the record. But yeah, it's whatever you said. It's such a mess, and you can't put it in a bucket of, hey, it's great. The question I would be asking is great for whom? It's great for regular American people. The answer is no.
So your assessment of it's 830 some pages. How far did you were you able to? How far into it did you get?
My team reviewed it, and I reviewed the draft that they gave to me. So my junior analysts reviewed the entire bill, and they gave like a synopsis, and most of it is like legalese and repetitive, but we summarized it. um, the net of the bill is they have done a lot of cuts, and they have taken the money from that and put it into defense.
Why do you think that is?
The You're going to make me talk about politics, aren't you?
Well, it's not
So they
politics. No, I don't.
did.
I don't. No, I don't think it's politics. I mean,
No, no,
I
no.
have
It's
a.
it's
I
not the
have a.
politics. It's just the the people in our country are frustrated. The jobs are not there. Um, so I think the administration wants to stay true to its policies of um, deporting illegal immigrants in the country, right? Or we don't know. That's a whole new debate on how they are going about it, which I personally don't want to get into. But um, the ICE budget and the budget for the United States defense, it has drastically increased. One of the reasons is the war between Ukraine and Russia. There is a war between Israel and the neighboring countries. And all these wars coming, and we wanted to, I think the administration wants to arm itself with resources. So this indicates two things. One, we are going to be dragged into a war we don't want to be in. Two, we probably are going to willfully back up a nation that's already in war. So one of the two things might happen over the next 3 years. That's what allocation of this much into defense budget tells me.
See, I have a different theory with it. That's why I was curious what your thoughts were, because I'd recorded a conversation with Matt Smith a few months ago, which I sent you a clip of the conversation
Yeah.
he had with Doug Casey on Friday. But I feel like the United States and this administration is moving us into a direction where we're centralizing, or not we, they are centralizing everything. Because I don't want to say we, because I have nothing to do with any of this, but in the decision making. But where they are centralizing everything and increasing deep. I mean, I don't know why they're going from 800 billion to $1 trillion. I think are the numbers to increase defense spending, but it also, I keep going back to that conversation with Matt, because the military and the government is now taking upon themselves the initiative to start building its own infrastructure,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I mean, to centralize everything to where like law enforcement agencies seems like they're centralizing, healthcare centralizing, and it feels like we're moving towards a model similar to China.
It's funny you would say that because I was on a podcast a few weeks ago, and I said the structure that we are having, and it goes back to BNPL. So BNPL is buy now, pay later. The reason I wanted to talk about that is because companies like Klarna and Affirm, they started tracking every single thing that the consumers are doing. They have access through API data. They have access to your bank account. They have access to what you spend on a day-to-day basis using credit card. They have access to everything that you're electronically connected to. And they use those data, and they are analyzing it and tracking everything you do. For instance, a customer went to Klarna, buy some groceries or something, and he wants to use Klarna and divide into four equal installments. He was up to date on everything. He wasn't delinquent, and they denied charging his card on the spot. And this guy got really scared. He feels like, he doesn't have access to credit. And when he called and asked, they made some random reason saying that, oh, your data is not correct. This is not correct. But what's happening, Michael, is Klarna and Affirm are using artificial intelligence and creating their own language models that tracks everything that you're doing. And that is pretty much like the outline of what China is having, like a credit scoring system where if it's not, the credit won't be given to the consumers based on your past result. The credit is going to be denied based on how much delinquent you could be based on your current data. So if your mortgage, if you missed on auto payments, if your bank account is overdrawn at least once, then the artificial intelligence will decide that, hey, looks like your bank is overdrawn. You're charging overdraft fee. I think we are going to cut you credit. We are not going to give you access to credit. That's what's happening. So it's exactly what you said, what's happening in China.
How does that make you feel with all your research that we're coming to the same conclusion with all this?
There is roughly 300 odd millions of Americans in our country, and nearly give or take 40 million of them are credit invisible, meaning they don't have credit cards or whatever. So if you take them out, you have roughly 280 something, and of which nearly 33% of them, give or take, are subprime. And they are going to get completely eliminated. And I am scared, and I'm very it's depressing because you have this whole group of consumers that will be judged and eliminated based on their current situation. We have written a lot of um, research and articles on our newsletter, and it is truly, truly, Michael, it's sad. I go online and I post something, and there is a group of people get really offended. Oh, well, then if their SNAP benefits are getting cut, then maybe they should go work. But where are they going to work? There are no jobs available. There are no jobs available for the graduates who graduated with computer science degree. How are you going to say, hey, you know what? No, no SNAP benefits. You got to go work. So where are you going to work? It's just the population, at least 33% of them feel trapped. You have student loan default, credit scores are getting hit, 100 points, 200 points down. Then you have buy now, pay later. FICO began to report it to the credit agencies. And then you have this bill, one big, beautiful bill. There are two, I'm not saying other aspects of this bill is irrelevant, but what I'm saying is there are two aspects of this bill that's very concerning from where I am. And I can see that the world is going to be in a whole different place a year or 2 or 3 years from now. We are talking about food insecurity. We are talking about a huge amount of poverty. You know, People are not talking about any of this because it doesn't feel good to talk about it. Because, talking about it means you're accepting the current scenario. Talking about it means that there is a problem and you're addressing it. And that means you got to look into what's right in front of you, and most people don't want to. And two things that I wanted to address, and I know you're talking about defense, which is great, but two things that's concerning about the bill are supplemental nutrition assistance program and Medicaid.
Say that first part again, Locks. The first one.
Supplemental nutrition assistance program, SNAP.
And
It's
Medicaid.
EBT.
Mm.
And the other one is Medicaid. So these two bills. So this one big beautiful bill act is so crafty. It's not completely eliminating the SNAP. No, it's not defunding the SNAP. No, it's making it very complicated with so many red tapes that you pretty much can't get it.
So let's talk in a little greater detail for people who don't understand what SNAP is and what it was in the bill before that and what it is now going forward with all the additional red tape.
Okay. The SNAP is a program. It's roughly introduced, and I have to check my notes if that's okay.
No, that's okay, and you don't have to be perfect. Just a
No,
general overview.
no, I just wanted to convey the correct information because this is everybody is live and everybody has a right to live. Everybody has a right to eat, right? It's don't make that political, right? So it's just around 1939, Roosevelt administration, I believe, enforced SNAP. And in 1964, it's just Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is like a food stamp program, right? And this was made into act in 1964 by Lyndon B. Johnson as a part of War on Poverty, right? So since then, it has evolved. In 2008, they named it as SNAP, from Food Stamp Act, they named it as SNAP, right? And they offer EBT cards. It's like a debit card or something, and the government, I believe, puts money in it based on if you fulfill certain requirements. Since then, as of 2024, nearly 41 million Americans are registered and enrolled in SNAP program. SNAP is the new name for Food Stamp Act program. And during COVID, this number was 43 plus million Americans. And this is the largest federal nutritional program credited with reducing food insecurity and poverty rates so the children can focus on the education. That's the pure intent of this bill. Food, it was like a food stamp program when it was introduced, right? So you want Americans to go every day with good food, right? And that is the point of it. So the one big beautiful act made changes. And that's where the critical aspect of the bill comes in. So technically, people who can work, who are without dependence, can go and have to work, I believe, at least 80 hours a month to be eligible for this program, right? And the age limit is from 18, sorry, I believe it's 18 to 49. So what the One Big Beautiful Bill Act did is it pushed, they expanded the age limit from 18 to 55. So now there are limited exemptions are available for homeless people, veterans, and others. There is something called state waiver, WAIVER, if you have accent understanding me. The waiver restrictions, the bill tightened it. What does it mean is, of all the states during downturns, if a state unemployment goes beyond or over 10%, the state, each and every state have the right to say, we are waiving all the requirements for SNAP. So anybody who wants to apply for the benefit can apply it. Because the unemployment is so high, we want to remove the restriction. So you don't need to work 80 hours a month to be eligible, because unemployment is so high, no one is going to give you a job, you can have some, right? This current bill completely restricts it. It gives the power to the state, and then it squeezes the state out of the same power it gave them. Meaning, if there is any unemployment, you still have to find a way to work 80 hours a month to be eligible for SNAP. So the state cannot completely waive the limit, saying that, hey, unemployment in my state is more than 10%, so you don't need to meet the minimum requirement of 80 hours per month work schedule to get your EBD card. So they tighten the restrictions. So if you're unemployed, you're going to starve to death.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Then, what do you think? Not that you can get in the minds of these people, but I said not that you can get in the minds of these people, but what are their thoughts? I mean, what do you think the intention was when they changed it or amended it?
They want to cut everything that they can cut. They didn't care whether it's food. It's the mentality is, there are a lot of videos going on in TikTok. Multiple people buying junk foods with $3,000. I don't have TikTok. I don't go on TikTok, but on Twitter, I can see the videos where they go with the Snap debit card and buy $3,000 worth of food. Well, I don't know if these videos are real or not. So people who made these bills were thinking that these people are able-bodied, therefore they should go and work, and we should not be paying for it. And it's probably true, right? I am sure there are, out of this 43 million people who are enrolled in SNAP, most of them can work or most of them cannot work. we don't know, right? We don't know whether they can work or not work. There is no way to find it. So the problem is you have people with mental illness who cannot work because of that. You have problem with people who rely on Medicaid, which is also getting cut, and they cannot work because of that. So it kind of Medicaid, in my humble opinion, based on what I read, the Medicaid and the SNAP program are like interlinked. So you're on Medicaid because you can't work. And if you can't work, you can't have food. You do have family. For whatever reason, your wife doesn't work. So you're supporting your entire family, say with two kids, with your Medicaid revenue and getting the food from SNAP. Now, these things will be gone because one of them have to go to work for 80 hours a month.
So going forward now, SNAP is going to be a lot harder to obtain those benefits. And you saying that they're interconnected. It's interconnected with Medicaid. So what changes have been made in Medicaid?
Um, let me look at my we have if anybody wants to know more about this, we read the bill, we shredded it, we wrote articles after articles on our newsletter. So anybody who wants to learn about it are welcome to do it. I we can talk about giving a special discount for your audience if you want, because I want as many people to benefit from the knowledge because most people don't know. They think it benefits them, but technically it doesn't. And every single benefit that's mentioned in the bill has corresponding requirements, or so to speak, patch that needs to be done in order to enjoy the benefit, right? So um, when it comes to Medicaid, Uh, the bill proposes over $930 billion in Medicaid cuts over the next decade. 930 billion. And there is also, I believe, a clause in the bill. I'm happy to share it with you. I remember reading it that any future president who takes the office, there's some of the aspect of the bill, it's made sure that they can't amend it. I have to send that to you. So just to make sure it's, and when I saw that, I'm like, wow.
Explain that a little bit further, then, if you don't mind. So maybe I misheard you. So what aspect of it cannot be amended? So it's been
I
ironclad.
have to double check it before I say anything. So because I don't want to say something that I haven't double checked because it's very critical information, and I will send them to you, and you can share them with your audience next time when you do it.
Okay, or even okay. So I'm not going to hold you to it, but just your from what you recall, what is the aspect of it?
I
Uh,
recall that some of the elements in the bill, uh, it, after 4-year term is over, if a new president comes in, uh, there are some restrictions on what he can change in this bill and what he cannot.
mm,
Meaning, this is kind of set in stone.
interesting. Um, I know one aspect
I
of.
have to confirm it.
No, it's
I
okay. That's
mean,
fine. It's okay. I know one aspect of it. I don't know if it made it in the final version, but on the AI standpoint, similar but different. It is federalized, where states no power is sent back to the states in regards to AI for 10 years. Did that make
yes.
it in?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Nobody's talking about this stuff, Lox, and this comes
No
back to what we
one.
were saying at the beginning of the conversation, where they're centralizing everything.
Everything. No one is talking about it. Listen, Chime recently became public. Chime is a company. And the way they advertise it is that if you swipe your credit card, there are some change in it. I don't know. I don't use Chime. But the way they lure and gather your data, listen closely. When somebody, especially technology firm, when they are making something free, making something easier for you, then you got to question what they are getting in return. Is your bank information, is your data. You're just signing everything out. And they use all of that information. And I don't have QuickBooks. I just, there is something in me. I can't connect my bank account information to some third party app to make my life simpler because I know that if you look into the fine print, everything has the same thing. We will, for your benefit, access your X, Y, and Z. And that's how they know whether your bank balance is overdrawn, whether you made a huge deposit, whether that deposit is one time or inconsistent, all of it to decide whether you're allowed to give whether you are allowed to buy a loaf of bread or a milk for your family. I mean, I'm not being dramatic. It's just this is what's going on, and nobody knows it. You can't see it in the mainstream media. It's just every day I get depressed reading all these things.
Well, and so was there any aspect of it that you found beneficial in you and your team's review, or anything you saw positive?
For whom? Whether for regular consumers or whether corporations? It's a matter of there are positives, but for whom? You okay, fine. So you have $1,000 sent to every single kid that's born. How much of that $1,000 going from taxpayers? So which means what? Trickle down. How it's going to spike on other aspect. If you're taking from one thing and putting it to the other thing, there is no benefit to it. Which means whatever you're taking it from, the other thing is going to inflate it. There is going to be a huge spike in inflation.
How far off do you think we are from that?
What's that?
How far off do you think we are from that with that spike?
Let's see. So first quarter, the student loan default started to hit the credit rating agencies. So all the consumers, rich, poor, middle class, there's no middle class, underclass. So they all saw a drop in their credit score. These scores were boosted in 2020, 2021, if you remember, through the stimulus package check. All the stimulus check went to the consumers. They spent on things, some saved, some paid down the credit card debt, which boosted their credit score. So subprime became prime, and they had access to credit that they otherwise would not have had. Then they started buying things that they shouldn't buy. And then came 2024, 2025, everything, subsidies, everything gone down. And now you have inflation. You're trying to keep up. Savings are draining. People are drawing for 401k to keep up with everyday payments. People are credit card companies for people who are having high credit turnover, they are cutting the credits. So student loan defaulters will get their income, if they have a job, garnished during the third, fourth quarter of this year. And you have credit score going way down, and you have big, beautiful bill kicking people out who are relying on SNAP benefits, who are relying on Medicaid. And if you kick all of those people, we are right there, Michael.
It makes me wonder, is that intentionally them moving people into the model where they'll be so reliant on the government that they'd have to roll out some type of universal basic income for all this?
I don't think this administration does not care about universal basic income. Um, I Consumers are trapped. They are trapped. You have mortgage, you have rent, you have student loan, you have auto loan. The repossessions, consumers are saying we can't pay auto loan. Auto loan repossessions going up. You have credit card debt, you have BNPL debt. Now your SNAP EBT card will be taken away from you, which means you have to work 80 hours a month to be eligible. But if you don't work, then you can't. How are you going to feed the family?
So you have to work 20 hours a week then to receive that benefit.
What's that?
You said you have to work 20 hours a week then to receive that benefit.
Yeah, 80 hours a month. So yeah. And with respect to Medicaid, we were talking about the 7.8 million people could lose coverage under One Big Beautiful Bill Act Medicaid cut, with 4.8 million of those directly due to work requirements. Up to 7.8 million people could lose coverage under this new bill with Medicaid cuts, with 4.8 million of those directly due to the new work requirements that the bill has enforced. So once dropped from Medicaid, these people do not transition to private insurance, do not transition into Affordable Care Act. They also made changes to Affordable Care Act, by the way.
Can you touch on that?
Yes. Let me see. Just going through it. I'm sorry, it's just too much information to keep it on my head. I have this. Can I share the screen with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 second. I think that would be easier. I did it. 1 second. It's Michael. It's just, sharing is not turned on.
There
Can
you go.
give me access?
Yep. You got it.
All right, got it. Screens. Okay. All right, there you go. Can you see? You see this?
Yeah. I see black screen. Start screen sharing. Double click to enter full screen mode. But I'm not seeing your screen's just black.
Can you see this?
No, I can't even see you right now.
Oh, I see you. It got black a little bit, but
There we go.
you can see it?
Yep. State by state Medicare. Yeah.
So if you say, all right, hold on. The impact on low-income populations, right? You have to work 80 hours to have eligibility. So this eligibility requires 17 million Americans losing health insurance over the next decade, right? So if you go further down, look at this. Medicaid funds 77% of essential services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Over 10 million children and adults with disabilities rely on Medicaid. 10 million, how are they going to go to work? Medicaid covers 60% of nursing home residents. And you know what's the sad part is? These Medicaid and SNAP benefits mostly, not mostly, that's not the right word, also affects the red states that supported the current administration. The SNAP, the Medicaid, doesn't matter if you're red or blue, you're going to die of starvation or lack of medical care. Doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter if you registered blue or yellow or brown or white or red. Your SNAP benefits are going to get cut. Your Medicaid is going to get cut. 60% of nursing home residents are relied on Medicaid. You will see hospitals who are receiving the check. Funding gets cut. State fundings get cut. And if you go further down, the Joint Economic Committee provided detailed estimates of Medicaid coverage. California, look how many people are losing it. 1.5 million. Texas, 229. Florida, 214. Look at this. I put all the states here. Like, this is Affordable Care Act laws, and this is Medicaid laws. This is not a tough change. This is not just red or blue. This is everybody.
Wow. So you scroll. Ohio was 151,000, I think.
Where is it? Oh, hang on. Where is it? Oh, right here. Yeah, that's ACA, and this is sorry. This is ACA. Yeah, this is ACA Affordable Care Act, 151 to 81, and this one is Medicaid. This is total. I'm happy to cross-check this number. I cross-checked
No,
it
no,
several
no.
times.
Yeah, no, no. I
It's it's
just
it's from the Joint Committee, um, a Joint Economic Committee. Yeah.
so do you have anything more to share with me?
Yes. There's one other thing is this. Look at the out-of-pocket. If this is gone and you wanted to have, you don't have subsidized premiums, your out-of-pocket cost to take care of your health is 500 to 800 per month. This is in addition to your mortgage or rent, car insurance, car payment, electricity, food, and this is medical insurance without subsidy. And ER visits is going to be 1,200 to 5,000 on average by default if this Medicaid cut happens. You know what's the scary part? And I will leave you with this and I will share this link with you. Unpaid medical bills are number one cause of bankruptcy in the US. If you can't eat, right? And yes, you can people will discuss anything. People will argue anything. Well, why can't they go work? Because there are no jobs available. Well, you know what? Because of this, that, and that. But the reality is so grim that you have people who can't afford food. Even people who are making money, live paycheck to paycheck. People who BNPL, people are using BNPL, buy now, pay later, for groceries. It went up from 14% a few years ago to 24%. And now Klarna is tracking everything that you're spending from your bank account and realizes that, I don't feel like giving you credit. You go buy groceries with BNPL on Klarna, you're not approved. This is depressing. And the reason we've been having this newsletter for a long time, and this is not our primary bread and butter. We provide research to our clients. But the reason we started doing this, hired a team and started publishing on each and everything that's coming out on a regular basis, because mainstream media is not covering it.
Are you done sharing your screen locks?
Okay.
Yeah. Just so the people watching on YouTube can see you while you're talking. There we go. No, you're good. So what do you say then, when people push back and they say, well, government services, it's going to be less dependent on the government, less money, less taxpayer money is going to be utilized for these services. What is the negative aspect of this?
The negative aspect of this is people are angry. You will see a lot of people starting to push back. Societal unrest, right? You have poverty, you have societal unrest, you have the food insecurity is going to be a huge problem, right? It's going to be chaos. You're going to see a lot of chaos. People yelling, it's just, there's no judgment. Like, you can't afford food. The subsidy is being taken out. What are you going to do? Your kid is sick. You can't take him to the hospital because ER charges you 5 grand because your Medicaid is cut. You can't go to work for 80 hours a month to claim Medicaid because of the paperwork and red tapes. And are you going to pay $30 for a babysitter? Where are you going to get the money? It's the reality is grim, Michael. And no, nothing is great.
See, you bring a different type of grimness to my grimness, where I think this is all going, and things that
What's that?
I said you bring a different coming from a different aspect of grim, where I've been grim for a while, and where I think this is all going, and like people don't realize that like SNAP program, for example, you have more people that are withdrawing from the system. So what are they going to do, right? Like you're going to have millions of people that are sounds like are going to be idle, right? And that's not good.
Yeah.
I don't know what the
I
solution
wanted
is,
to.
Lox. Oh, go ahead.
What's
Sorry.
that?
I said I can't sit here and say I have solutions to any of this. I don't know what they are, but
No, there is no um I wanted to share something with you. Do we have time? I
yeah,
didn't
of
want
course, yeah, yeah.
it's we can't afford we can't give solution. It's just there are solutions, but that is not going to be palatable, for lack of better words, to political parties, whether left or right or center. I don't care. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, whatever political party you are. The regular people are suffering, and it's going to get worse. And one of the things I wanted to share with you is we wrote something on the we wrote something called the cost of hunger. You have the Center for on Poverty and Social Policy at Columbia University estimated that revoking 2021 thrifty food plan adjustment could result in 2.1 million additional people falling into poverty, including nearly 855,000 children, representing an 11% increase in poverty among SNAP recipients and 13% rise in child poverty within this group. These are Americans. Like our fellow Americans are starving. And the San Antonio Food Bank anticipates 20 million meal gap due to reduced SNAP funding and the loss of school-based meals for over 200,000 children. We live in a small town up in Connecticut, nothing fancy. Uh, there is a food group here. Everybody in town, well, again, it's not political, whether you're red, blue, purple, whatever it is. They buy grocery store for their family, and they take a certain percentage or pasta or oil or whatever it is and donate it to the food pantry. We do this religiously because, we can't go and like say, hey, everybody has to do this. And, people don't want to listen. But in our little teeny tiny community, we share a portion of our groceries to the food pantry. And I, I, we go to grocery store and we see some old couple or old widow, and we swipe our card to pay their groceries. I have done that. My husband has done that. My neighbors have done that. It's like an act of kindness. And that is, that's the only solution. Wherever you are, if you can afford a little bit more than what you need for your grocery, just add a little bit more to somebody who cannot afford it. That's all you can do. I mean, you can do that for your neighbors if they can't afford it. But do I have a universal solution for this country? Do you have one? The answer is, even if we have one, how are we going to enforce it? So the one big beautiful bill just eliminates a segment of population. And if you think there is a middle class in our country, there isn't.
That was one of my observations being on the road for the last 5.5 weeks and driving through some of these smaller towns in New York, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia. I mean,
Yeah.
that state. There's just nothing going on there from what I saw.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. It you cannot survive as a nation without a middle class, and it has been hollowed out. And what I find very interesting of it, I mean, there's so many takeaways I had from this trip. So thank you for letting me share a few moments of some of
Of
my
course.
experiences from it. But like where I live in Phoenix, people are so blissfully unaware, and I like to think I'm not, but also sometimes you got to get out and see things with your own eyes rather than relying on what may or may not be real on X. And I saw it. I mean, I was in Johnson City, Tennessee. I saw these big buildings, walked by a hookah lounge, and there was like, I mean, it's a big space. There was like three people utilizing it. And I'm just like, how do you pay the rent with this?
It's funny you say that because commercial real estate is so in trouble. And we are focusing on some banks who are ultra regional on the East Coast. They're, they have so much debt and they are moving the loans that they, gave away for commercial real estate to um, delinquencies. They are completely showing it. And there is a small restaurant up in Stamford, Connecticut, and it's a French restaurant, and it's in a very busy street. And all of a sudden, we saw in the news that the entire row, like 3 or 4 places, completely burned down, and they're currently investigating. So it's interesting because while ago, we kind of know who the landlord was, and during COVID, he collateralized everything and got like I believe millions and millions of dollars loan from the bank to keep up because every single one of the tenants said they can't pay money, they cannot pay anything. So commercial real estate, when you said whatever you witnessed, there are only like few people in there. I mean, I can see that. I see that happening right here.
Well, another thing too, Northeast Ohio, where I'm from. I mean, some of these nice suburbs. One in particular, I grew up in Strongsville, and then I was in another part called Parma, which it's an older community. Brook Park is right next to it. Older, built in the '50s, Rust
Mhm.
Belt, Ford plant, GM plant, bungalow style houses. But in both cities, I'm looking at these they're shopping centers, and some of them are just desolate and dead, just dead. And people are like, well, they got to tear it down and build something new. It's like, okay, well, how much money is there to go around for new
Exactly.
shopping?
Yeah. And you, I just thought, I mean, I'm glad you shared that with me because, all these Rust Belt, the jobs need to come back. But here's the problem. Whenever the manufacturers, Apples of the world, Amazons, or whatever, the corporations, they moved all the production to China because we can afford it in a cheaper way. If we really wanted to do something, then it has consequences because there is always a sacrifice. If one needs to be done, there's something else needs to go from the other side. So you bring back the manufacturing, which would be great. You have jobs here, everything. Then you have to pay, the corporations have to pay more to employ people from here, which they have to be flexible to do it. And when they do that, they also have to be cognizant that corporations should not increase the price because if they pay more to the employees, they employ here, you create jobs here. but the corporations should not increase the price and pass it on to consumers, because then this will cause inflation. Then they could never afford whatever they can afford with the $30 or $50 an hour. So it needs to be um, agreed by the corporations, by the policies that we are making, and there needs to be some hard choices for a long-term benefit.
But the other side of it, though, too, it would take years to accomplish that at this point.
Yes, decade at least.
Isn't it
So if you
funny?
think,
Oh, go
what's
ahead.
that?
No, no, please. I
No,
interrupted
no,
you.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, I said, isn't it funny? You don't even hear about Doge anymore. Remember that the whole Doge and trillions of
Yeah, I'm
dollars
still
was.
waiting for that $5,000 check. Did you get it?
I thought I was trying to think of something witty to say. It was like, yeah, I got your check. I got my check and I got your check too.
Yeah, they were like, oh, 5,000. I'm like, where are you
I
getting the
forgot about that.
5,000?
I forgot about
But
that too, Lox. That's right. We were all going to get checks for 5 grand.
good Lord, it's depressing. That's every single day I walk out and say, how many of these people owe car loans? How many of them own student loans? So look around people like, can they really afford this? I don't buy new clothes. I There is like a small consignment store in our town, and I go there, buy something for like, and there was a thrift store. You can buy stuff for like $5. So I shop in thrift store and consignment store, and I'm okay with that.
Well, it must be a very nice consignment store because you were dressed very nicely, and you were dressed very nicely the last time I spoke with you, to the point where I had to change my shirt because I had such a complex before we started recording. So, why don't you tell people
Well,
this
thank you,
consignment?
but it's all from consignment. It's just,
Don't give away a secret where the store is because everyone's going to go there and they're going to take all the nice clothes because
good. They can rather spend $15 on a jacket instead of going to, some stupid Chanel and spend like 3,000. I this is like $15.
Well, I've had friends that have said to me, well, this is going to be a good lesson for people in this country. They need to learn how to save. They need to learn, not to live beyond their means. And I agree with that to a certain extent. But, when people say that, they have no idea what's really going on.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know what the solution is here because you can't continue down this path either.
Yeah. But it's sad that you can't say like, well, good, let them learn the lesson. Yes, some of them are living beyond their means. Agreed. But some of them, they are trying their level best. They would rather put some, groceries on buy now, pay later and feed their kids, because maybe they have mental health issues. Maybe they have some issues that they can't go to work. Maybe they're not, able to get any work where they are from. So it's I don't know when we turned into a society of completely blinded and blindly judging others, and it's there is good and bad in everything. So yeah, we can't continue in this path, but this is the situation we are in. We have 43 million Americans enrolled in SNAP benefits. How many of them do you think can get a job over the next 3 months where they can work 80 hours a month? Just yes. You think 43 million people can get a job within the next 3 months? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know if you know Amanda, but she's tracking all the layoffs. And
Yeah,
the
she's doing
layoffs,
it. She's doing it like real time too. I had Amanda on here. In fact, it probably makes sense to have her back. But yeah, the Microsoft countdown last week.
Microsoft, I mean, all these tech companies, they have a strategy. Long, long, long time ago, 8 years, no, 10 years ago, um, there is a company. I don't want to say the name. I don't want to get sued. So there was a company that eliminated the entire employees, like 40 to 50% of the employee workforce over near the Christmas time, saying that they wanted to lean their business model. And then they made a huge acquisition for billions of dollars. They laid off more people. And then within 6 months to 8 months, they put a lot of job opportunities for the exact job that they laid people off. So, me being a little obnoxious and nosy body sometimes, I called the HR person and said, "Hey, just out of curiosity, you laid off all your workforce, and a couple of them were my friends, and now you're hiring them back again." You go, "Yeah, we realized that we laid off people, too many people, that we don't have anybody to work." These guys are paying hundreds and thousands of dollars a year in salary to estimate the demand that they need, and the amount of people that they need to hire, and they can't do that job properly. This is a nightmare. Tech companies are known for this. And you know what else they do? I have to check with Melody, because after a certain age, you have to pay them, or whatever the HR concept is. So once you lay them off a huge batch of people, then you can go around and hire a newly graduated folks for the job for the cheaper price. That's what they do. So you eliminate people who you have to fund for the 401k and all the other stuff. Once you lay off, they turn around and hire the same people for the same, hire for the same job from new graduates, cheaper price.
What when you started looking at the big beautiful bill? Tired of even saying that. I'm tired of saying that phrase. Like, what's that? Oh,
Sorry, my son was asking for karate. I was telling him the karate class is canceled for
oh,
this week.
oh. We could wrap
So,
up. We could wrap up here after this
no, no,
question.
no. There is
Oh.
no karate class. The I think the 4th of July weekend, I think he was going on vacation. So
But what were your expectations when you started digging into this bill, you and your team, of what you were going to see? Was it all positive, all negative, or like what was your expectation?
I did not have any high hopes. So I kind of wasn't surprised. But my expectations was, at least the administration would not screw up the same population that elected him. That was my surprise.
Yeah, the buy now, pay later. I've been talking about that from our conversation. Amanda and I talked about it. Melody and I talked about it. The Grubhub is just amazing to me that people would use buy now, pay later for Grubhub.
Yeah. So you after you eat the food and defecate, forgive my language, you're still paying for it. It's like I, I stopped ordering from DoorDash. It's a nightmare. You have service charge, you have so many charges, and they still expect you to give. And buy now, pay later for there. And that's the other thing. A Doge or whatever cut every single positions available from FAA, from Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was there to protect the people. That was eliminated. It's not eliminated, but it's just like, um, there, and they're not enforcing anything. The banks are going to get deregulated. I was reading that. So banks recently won the stress test. Now they're reducing, as a part of the deregulations. One of them is they're going to reduce the tier one capital, how much they can have. I mean, it's like 2008 in reverse. Like you have everything blowing up. You have BNPL, you have delinquencies, you have repos rising. Consumers can't afford food. And then when everything is like going like blowing, almost blowing up, you deregulate something. How is that going to help? Help me understand, Michael.
Well, maybe the thought process by deregulating it'll open up more opportunity by cutting through the red tape. And that comes back to, I keep referencing this, but Matt Smith was talking about that because I said, what will the government do to counteract the increase in poverty and increase in unemployment? And he said, he said deregulate. You'll see them deregulate to eliminate the red tape in this.
Yeah, but again, my question boils down to deregulation supposed to benefit whom? That's the question. Okay, you're going to deregulate. Okay, who gets the benefit?
Oh, I'm not
Who-
saying it's a solution to all this. I'm just saying
No,
where the
yeah,
justification was, opening it up, like in terms of, talking about like say nuclear energy, or I'm being specific here, but building more chip plants,
yeah.
deregulating to be able to cut through, or remember Howard Lutnick was talking about the Arctic oil, drilling the oil in the Arctic. I don't know how realistic this stuff is, but
I mean, the deregulation is good for one thing. One of the many things is I spoke with one of the CEO of a mining company. So we have done a lot of research on electric vehicles, and we need rare earth elements. And we 90% of the rare earth or elements we are dependent on China for that. So one of the reasons that one good thing from this bill, if you ask me, now that you reminded me, is that mining, the deregulations will take the environmentalists from protesting not to mine in the United States. There are a lot of mining companies in in Las Vegas, in those areas, and we can mine our own rare earths only if we are allowed to mine, because the problem with that was the environmental agencies, they were lying down and with too many red tapes. So this will benefit it, which is good. And also we can be energy independent, and that is good. But at the end of the day, consumers are the one who's in the whole bill concerning aspects are SNAP and Medicaid for me.
well, and again, I mean, even the energy independence that will take years, years, and who only
Yeah.
knows who will be, what the administration will look like at that point. And yeah, there's no easy roads here anymore, and I don't know. I don't know. But I never felt good about this administration. Even when they took office, people were jumping on the bandwagon of they thought everything was going to go back to the way it was before COVID, and you know.
It's not like a switch. Like you can't just everything, every decision, every policy, every action is anything is happening, it has ripple effects. And those ripple effects take life of its own. And those will have ripple effects. So things are it's very complex than, you know, just going pre-COVID.
So what is your main focus now?
Our main focus is to keep following the bill and publishing in our newsletter. We are for our clients focusing on the analyzing the data on the credit side for asset-backed securities, because I just wanted to just outline it is there are a lot of repos and charge-offs are happening in the asset-backed securities, and the cushion that's in the asset-backed securities are are absorbing these losses, and it's not being seen in the bank balance sheet because all of these are off balance sheet. So those are the things that we are currently focusing on. Credit market is always the first one to know when there is a problem. Equity market is always the last one to know. So we are focusing on the signals that we are tracing on the credit side of the market to triangulate to see where things are going to go on the equity side. And of course, we are tracking the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. We are tracking the buy now, pay later, and the consumer defaults, delinquencies, pretty much regularly. And we also tracking corporate defaults and bankruptcies. We write on This Week in Credit. So we go through the credit rating agencies and track the corporations that are being put on negative watch when credit rating agencies puts a company on a negative watch. They pretty much give them a warning of like a quarter or so to get their act together. Otherwise, they will be downgraded. So those are the things we are tracking on a regular basis.
Where can people find you, Lux?
People can find me on at contrarianunicus.substack.com. Please share the link, Michael, so even though they couldn't hear it clearly, contrarianunicus.substack.com. We publish every day, and there is a segment called Confidential Insight. That's where we write everything about One Big Beautiful Bill Act and dissect them section by section in plain English so people know what's going on. So, and I don't know if you have institutional listeners, but they can email me for our recommendations at lux@unicusresearch.com.
And then your X handle. Did you say your X handle already?
X handle is, oh God, I can't believe I forgot my own, at Unicus Research.
I was pulling it up really quick.
Yes, I pulled up local. I was like, at Unicus Research. Yeah. And
As,
any questions you have, feel free to let me know.
as always, thank you so much for everything you're doing. Thank you for coming back on here. And I look forward to continuing to follow your work and more conversations ahead.
Thank you so much, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Mic drop. I'll wear a better shirt next time, too, by the way, in the first go on. So that one I won't have to change before we record.
Okay.
Mic drop.